It's 10 o'clock Tuesday. It's not just any Tuesday, it's Election Day Tuesday, Shane, and we are here to make our November 8th Election Day predictions. Senate, House, and governors. Will we be right on our predictions? So
Exactly.
that's what we gotta know. So man, this is quite an election. It's an election like we haven't had in the past. I don't think. Pretty. It's an unusual midterm. It's almost like a presidential election.
Well, it is. And the remarkable thing is, of course, a third of the Senate is up for election, the entire House. But
Hmm.
the other thing that's important is that the number of seats up this time, for governorships, 39 out
Right.
of
Yeah.
50. So that's a real swing year. For that to
Hmm.
happen this year and create the opportunity for the
Hmm.
Republicans to pick up,
Hmm.
some blue
Hmm.
or purple state governorships. It could work, depending on
Yeah.
whether people
Hmm.
vote down ballot today. We'll see.
Well, that's what we're looking at. Well, we want to start with the governor races, of course, and the contested one, Wisconsin, is the big one. Tim Michaels at 49.5 versus Tony Evers at 49.1. The interesting thing about this, Shane, was back in August, this was 80% Evers and 20% Michaels. And it's totally reversed now. And they're within 4/10 of a point of each other. So quite a quite a remarkable turnaround for Michaels.
Well, the interesting thing is the news cycle. Americans have short memories; they really do. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, for example, the burning and anarchy of 2021,
Mhm.
22, when your cities were afire and it was
Right.
just riots and destruction. I think Americans still remember that because it coalesced with the COVID shutdowns. So I think
Mhm.
Americans, sort of
Mhm.
associate the shutdowns with both the rioting and COVID, of course, and then
Mhm.
education, because as a
Mhm.
result of COVID, they shut down education in a lot of states and wiped out a lot
Mhm.
of people's businesses. And
Mhm.
small business, as we know, makes up for 126 million jobs in the
Mhm.
United States of 160. So if
Yeah.
Americans have not lost that memory and it's still there, we could see a real generational change today. It's going to be interesting,
Yeah.
fascinating.
Oh, it will be interesting, no question about it. Well, the other thing you mentioned, Shane, that Wisconsin was in that burning, looting 2020 deal that summer. Kenosha, they had the trial with Witten, whatever his name was.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
And you have Dixon now,
mhm,
pretty close to Whitner in Michigan, but
mhm,
again,
yeah,
an entire surprise to me. I mean, I would
mhm,
expect that Dixon, any Republican, would be
mhm,
ahead of this Gretchen woman, by 5-10 points because of what she did to
mhm.
Wisconsin, or I mean to Michigan.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. She's, yeah, they're 6 points different. She's 6 points ahead there. And, yeah,
and,
I,
and
I, I
yesterday,
wonder about that one too. Yeah.
And then yesterday, the electors, managers in Detroit, Michigan, put out a party-wide Democrat. Oh my gosh, 30% of African Americans not expected to even vote in the city of Detroit. Like
Yeah.
they're just not going to go vote.
Yeah.
So if African
Yeah.
Americans don't vote,
Yeah.
and then a larger amount vote Republican, bam,
Mhm. Yeah.
that's not going to happen in the Hispanic community. They're going to vote. I mean,
Mhm.
they respect, love, and want the opportunity to vote. So if that
Yeah.
expands to 35%, which the numbers look like that, again,
Mhm.
bam, the
Yeah.
Republicans. So well, yeah. That's why these
Mhm.
governorships are so important because that's the microcosm of innovation and invention in your country
Mhm.
politically and as a country. That's
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
all the ideas all bubble up is in the
Well, that's
states.
true. Yeah. Well, in New York, Hochul holding on to a pretty sizable lead there. She's about 9 points ahead, and more than likely, she is going to be the governor of New York. That's another one that was up for grabs. And in
Yeah,
Pennsylvania,
wait. Just hold on one sec.
what?
I'm going with my gut on this. I think Zeldin wins. It's been
Mhm,
92 since 1992. And
mhm,
Pataki won. But you had the same thing, and I was in New York a number of
mhm,
times in the 90s when Pataki became governor,
mhm,
and watched what he did, and and then they elected the great American mayor
mhm,
of New York, and it was remarkable. I mean, I saw the transition over 6 years between 91 and
mhm,
99.
mhm.
Of downtown, New York City.
Yeah.
I mean, the mess, that was down
uh,
there with, all the bars and stripper clubs, and it was basically what it is today in a lot of your cities, and they cleaned it all up. I mean,
uh,
and they did it fast. It was
yeah.
so.
But
I
as
think
you,
people in New York are going, no, she didn't
yeah,
get elected. She's in there because Cuomo, and again, hopefully
yeah,
they have short
mhm,
memories. There's
yeah,
a lot of consideration when you look at polls with Jewish voters,
mhm,
particularly in the state of New York. I mean, there's more
yeah,
Jews in New York than in New York State than in
mhm,
Israel. I mean, it's a kind of large Jewish community in New
yeah.
York.
Well, I don't know. The polls say, she's got a pretty handily lead, and this is as of last night.
Yeah, I know that.
So
We're
yeah.
going through this. I'm just telling you
No, I
facts.
know. That's what I'm saying.
Now the other one is Oregon.
Mhm,
This is a what's going to happen here
mhm.
sort of thing. And it's this Kotek.
Yeah, she's up
She's
44 to
getting
42.
hammered by this gal.
Yeah,
Yeah, Drazen.
yeah.
So the Republican. Now again, this is another example of it depends again.
Mhm.
What the American people have they reached that point of I'm not. I'm going to keep going with this. This is not
Yeah.
working.
Well, the other thing in Oregon you got to remember is that there's 11% that are up for grabs there. Some of those people voting Libertarian or Green Party or whatever may flip one way or the other. And, if they're Libertarians, they probably go with Drasnin
Yeah.
rather than Kotek. So that the independents there, as we've always said, Shane's independents are the ones who call these elections. So,
That's right.
that would be that would be quite a turnaround there. But um, and the same thing with Pennsylvania, where you got Shapiro, 54 to 44 over Mastriano in New York or in Pennsylvania, rather. That says Fetterman is in. If that holds true.
To a large degree, I'm not going to argue with that one. I mean, Pennsylvania is one of these quirky situations that it's part of the
Mhm.
blue wall in the East, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people haven't given Doug, a fair hand with Josh, and they've
Hmm.
poured the Democrats have poured millions, tens of millions, well, like over
Into
100
that
million
one. Yeah.
in the
Into
governor
that one.
race and the
Hmm.
Senate race. So they're over 100
Yeah.
million in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. So let's just say, for the
Yeah.
sake of argument, people look at this in Pennsylvania, go, wait, we want to go drill for oil and gas, and we want the industry, and
Hmm.
you're going to shut down 400 coal plants and depend on windmills
Hmm.
and solar. I mean,
And
that's not even
that's
10%.
what the Democrats want. That's
Well,
what
I
the
know, but
Democrats want.
if that's what the people of Pennsylvania want, good luck to you, because
Mhm.
you'll all be back in the 17th
Mhm.
century, because there won't be any
Yeah.
electricity. So
Well, the other thing we've got to take into account, Shane, we'll talk about this as we go along, is that we Donald Trump is going to make, he said, a major announcement on the 15th. So
that's right.
he's either going to say he's going to run or not going to run. And some of this is going to be based on how he does in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Minnesota, Ohio. All those states he needs to win if he decides to run again.
Well, he doesn't
So,
need to win, and the Republican Party has. And for 2 years, I've said Trump will run if the Republicans take back the House and the Senate. If they take back
mm,
the House and the Senate, then he
yeah,
has it on.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll have it. He'll have them on
Mhm,
his side, running for president
mhm,
in 24. If they
yeah.
don't, I mean, if it's
Mhm,
only narrow, I mean, I'm calling for 65 plus seats in the House and 4 plus seats in the Senate. 54 seats total in the Senate after the election.
mhm,
And what are they at? 200? Yeah, 210.
mhm,
So
yeah.
it's 265 to 75 in the House. If that
Okay.
happens next Tuesday, Biden's in Indonesia in Bali at the
Mhm,
the the 20 conference,
yeah.
and Vice President Pence's book comes out. He'll have the stage in Mar-a-Lago with his wife and family to announce he's going to run. But he knows he's smart enough to know he needs a week to find out what Tuesday is. Those four
Mhm,
reasons: the
yeah.
results,
Mhm,
wants to be in Mar-a-Lago with his family, Biden's out of the country, and
mhm,
Pence's book comes out. So yeah,
mm, okay.
because the minute he
Mhm,
announced, it's all Trump,
yeah.
everything, because the networks
Mhm,
want their money back and their advertising back, and now
mhm,
they can actually talk about it, right? So
yeah. All right, let's move to House of Representatives because, let's start with the things we know for sure. We know Nancy for sure. Yeah, Nancy is 86 to 13, and Nadler is about the same up there. He's nine
Nadler,
what
the congressman,
77, yeah,
oh,
77 to 18. So he's in there. All the squad are running ahead. Talib and all AOC and Presley and the other gal. They're all running ahead. The interesting one is down on the border of Texas, Shane, where you've got Marla Flores. She won that seat. It's been held by Democrats since Christ was in the manger, I think,
whoa, that's a
and
long time.
that's a long time. 48-9 to 48-6 over Vicente Gonzalez in that race there. So and the next door, Michelle Valero is only ahead by 8/10 of a point over Monica Dela Cruz down there. So those could be flipped seats pretty easily for the Republicans. So
Well,
we'll see how that plays out. Yeah.
when you look at the entire map, if you go to
Mhm.
Wikipedia and look up,
Yeah.
the election, they got the map, and one of the first thing, of course, that catches your eye is how much is red with regard to the House,
Sure.
and that's because the rural states have one or
Mhm.
two or three or four. And of course,
Yeah.
it's based on population, but the majority of your country
Mhm.
geographically is red. So
Yeah.
we're down
Mhm.
to a few areas.
Mhm.
Meaning, if you
Mhm.
take any type of 30 seats or more off that map that turn red, you've got the Democratic Party, or as I call them, the Demolition
Mhm.
Party. They're a regional party. I mean,
Yeah.
it literally could take a generation,
Mhm.
20 years for them to come back. It really could.
Yeah.
That's how devastating this could be for
Mhm.
them tonight. Now, right now they have 220 seats, and the Republicans have 212. They had
Mhm.
215, but three people have
Yeah.
decided to leave or are not
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
Having said
Yeah.
that, the bottom line, they only need 6 seats to have the
Yeah.
majority. Well, they're going
Mhm.
to win more than 6 seats.
Yeah.
So,
I
and it'll start in
Mhm.
Virginia first. There's 3 seats outside of Washington
Mhm.
and Alexandria because of
Mhm.
education, what went on there. We know that. And a couple other seats in Virginia. And remember, Virginia just swung
Mhm.
red, solid red. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
the,
Yeah,
the,
it did.
the governor there that won he slammed
Mhm.
it last year.
Mhm.
So,
Well, yeah, everybody rode in on his coattails, and that's why we're talking about these governor's
yes,
races being so important.
yeah.
That it can be a big deal there.
But that'll
Yeah,
show
the
that'll show the entire board for the rest of the night. I mean,
yeah,
if the Republicans pick up 3 seats in Virginia that are very close, then if it's like is it a win? Is it a
mhm,
wave? Is it
mhm,
a wasani? Not a tsunami, but a
yeah,
wasami.
yeah,
If it's one of you'll know what that is early. You'll know by
mhm,
perhaps 9 o'clock Eastern,
mhm,
5 o'clock for
mhm,
me, or 6 o'clock for me, 7 o'clock for you.
yeah. I'm pulling a house at they get 221 to 225.
That's very funny, Tom.
No,
I'm
it
sure
is.
it's
That's
laughable.
what's going to happen because I'm looking at all these other races. I'm looking at
Yeah.
all these other races. Governors and the senators are gonna, I don't think this is going to be the cakewalk that the Republicans think it's going to be.
Oh, I do. I think
Yeah.
we've seen this historically. Nixon, Reagan,
But this
Bush,
isn't historic. This is not.
Bush one and two.
You can't look at past races when you look at this race. We've got too many things in here that we have never had in other races
That's
all
not
at
true.
once.
Not
All
true.
at once,
No,
Shane. Of
no,
course we
I
do.
know. That's why I said this is a generational. But my thought was, which I'd like to finish, is I see this as a down ballot race, a down ballot election.
Hmm.
I don't think people are going to pick and choose. Like, you know, the, look. I mean, look at the states governors. In Massachusetts, Republican.
Hmm.
Delaware,
Hmm.
Republican. So I mean, I think that it's going to be a down ballot race. People are going to start
Hmm.
at the top and pick red all the way down.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Could be
Yeah.
wrong. You could be like
Hmm.
you and you think nope, they'll
Hmm.
they'll make different choices, but I don't see
Yeah.
that.
Well, the reason I see it, as I mentioned earlier, we've never had a ballot before that has the economy, inflation, Ukraine, abortion, oil and gas, green energy, subsidies, all at once, all on one ballot. I've never seen that in my lifetime.
Well, the Democrats have tried really hard to push it away from that, right?
I know they have,
They've
but
tried.
it's there. It's there.
I know, and
Crime is the other one.
yeah, but that's why this is a down ballot race because
Mhm.
the Democrats haven't addressed any policy issues. This has all been from the Democratic side, uh, uh,
Yeah.
an election on personality, and the reason was they thought they could go with policy on abortion, and people aren't stupid. They did it wrong. They could have been smart and said the Supreme Court says it's up to the states.
Hmm.
That's what they decided. The abortion is legal. So the
Yeah.
Democrats would have been better to spend $500 million saying the Supreme Court has said it's up to the states. So we have to win states to keep abortion alive. That should
Mhm.
have been their argument to make abortion on the ballot. But they got it wrong. And the political
Well,
vendors,
doesn't matter. It's what the people think.
well, yeah, what you called it. You said that was going to make the decision for this election
It's
was
making it in New York in the governor's race.
no.
Yes, it is.
No, I don't think
She's
so.
10
I
points
think
ahead,
that
Shane.
election is going to be decided because of crime and anarchy. I just that's what I think. People aren't
Yeah.
that stupid. They know that abortion in New York's legal, and they know you can have an abortion.
And they want to keep it legal.
Well, that's what the Supreme Court said. So
Yeah. But
it's like
that's why they're not going to take a chance on a governor other than a Democrat.
I think there's more reasons. You just said so yourself.
Yeah.
Look, Georgia's a perfect
Mhm.
example. She talks about unfair election policies, and she talks about it.
What do
Georgia's a
you
much state to
which
live in, and she talks about abortion, and she's
Mhm.
talking about all these issues that people don't care about. People care about
Mhm. Mhm.
inflation, the price of gas, education. They go
Mhm.
to they
Mhm.
go to work, they go to buy food, and they have to make choices
Mhm.
they don't want. They you know
Mhm.
they have no
Mhm.
expendable income. It's all committed to survival, and Americans don't like that. They want to go
Mhm.
out and buy stuff they want or need. you know,
Mhm.
that's just the way they are.
Yeah. Well, Kemp's got a significant lead there, and that should do well for Herschel Walker as well. If you're,
Yeah,
you
I've
know,
moved my position with Herschel to a win. I think he'll
yeah,
be an outright right win. I think he'll end up with
yeah,
over 51% of the vote,
yeah.
and it'll be
Yeah.
African American men
Mhm,
that do it.
mhm,
This is
mhm,
probably the last, maybe another two. Nah, it could be close to the last time that the African American vote in the United States.
mhm.
Those eligible,
Yeah.
and the turnout, will be significant to compared to the
Mhm.
Hispanic out turnout.
All
I think
right.
after this, Hispanics will,
Mhm,
turn out vastly more. 240 million eligible voters in the U.S. 160 million voted 2020. That was
yeah.
62%.
Mhm.
So that was that's pretty
There could
impressive.
be more than that. Yeah. So
What's that?
there could be more than that this time
Yeah,
around.
that's what I'm saying. If there
Yeah.
if it hits 165, it's a Republican night. That's
Yeah.
just what I think.
Okay. All right. Moving to the Senate races, I want to leave Georgia and Pennsylvania till last, Shane. If,
Why not? They're
well,
going to come
because
in
yeah,
last. No, I mean the vote on them is going to come
well, I
in.
know it'll be weeks before we know.
I don't think so, but
Yeah,
yeah, it'll be at least a week. Yeah.
yeah. Well, in the Senate, of course, Washington, that's Patty Murray, 54 to 45. She's got a sizable lead there still, but a lot of people think that could swing. Uh,
Well, yeah, and it's because Murray's been there for 30 years.
yeah. Hmm.
All politics are local. We've always talked about that. In this
Hmm.
case, it's really local. I mean, when you've
Yeah.
had someone with being in the U.S. Senate for six times, 30 years,
Hmm.
since
Yeah.
92, basically, excuse me, it's remarkable. Now, the key this year is a third, 20, 25 or 35 seats are up in the Senate. Every 2 years,
Hmm.
30, a third
Yeah.
are up. But it's 21 Republicans versus 14 Democrats. So, you
Hmm.
would think that this would be a good year for the Democrats. But
Yeah, you'd think so,
they've
but
fallen
mhm,
into a pit, and
mhm.
the trouble is they haven't been trying to dig themselves out of the pit. They just keep digging a
Mhm.
deeper hole in the pit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, for
Yeah.
Biden to come out this weekend and say, no more drilling. I haven't allowed drilling. And
Yeah.
and we're closing all those coal plants, 400, and
Mhm.
they closed, 200 already. And
Yeah.
we've gone through these numbers, 32% of your electricity is produced by coal. I mean, it's like the guy walked because he believes the earth is flat, and he walked to the edge and he stepped off. I mean,
Yeah.
that's literally where you're at with this guy.
Yeah.
He's either just outright lying,
Mm.
or just saying what he's being told to, or worse, doesn't know.
Yeah.
That's the scary thing, that he may not even know.
Well, he's talking to his Democrat base, which wants all the green stuff. They want the coal and everything gone. No one, no one voting has any idea what percentage coal or oil or anything else is. They're too busy in their lives to know that stuff, so they really don't care.
Well,
Um,
I just hope Richard Blumenthal loses in
he,
Connecticut.
he
That'd be
he is
great.
so far ahead.
I know, I
It's off
know,
the
but
charts. Yeah.
if I had a race that, of all the races this year, that I would like to see someone lose,
Yeah.
is him. I
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
yeah, he's got apparently like a 63%,
Oh yeah, he's way out in front.
percent.
Maxine Waters, same
You know,
thing there.
again,
Yeah, yeah.
regrettably, I don't mean to be demean or sound demeaning. I don't understand the people of Connecticut voting like this, and
Mhm,
voting for this guy, I mean, like, for personal reasons, policy reasons,
mhm.
just political reasons. To continue putting someone like this in the Senate it's pretty
But
ugly,
look,
to me,
look
Thomas.
at all the
I mean,
good
look.
look at all
Well,
the good he's done for the state.
look, for this month, I haven't said, but I will now. Welcome home. Thank you for your service, Thomas.
All
This
right.
guy is an effing reject. Okay. Need I
That's true.
say
Yeah,
more?
that's it. They don't care.
I know.
The problem is that when Biden talks about the shutting down coal plants and shutting down all these things, he knows that Democrats will get out and vote, Republicans sit on their hands. I mean, that's what he's counting on, and that's why I say I only think the House is going to be, as I said, what 221 to 225 maybe, and the Senate probably 52 to 48. So
Well, this is the first year in both House and Senate elections that the Republicans have put up so many women and minorities. And
true. Yeah.
Schumer's running; he's up for reelection. He's been there since '98 when he defeated a Republican.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember Al Diamato. He was a pretty cool guy, actually.
Yeah.
He's that Pataki group that got into New York and ran it and saved the state back in the '90s. But this Joe Hinian, he's anyway. He doesn't have much of a chance, of course not. But he's an African American, successful businessman, and if Schumer wins, he'll pass Daniel Patrick Moynihan as the longest running U.S. senator in history. So, here's a guy that's been in the Senate since '98. I mean, Murray from Washington's been there longer than him, but
incumbents go back 86% of the time, Shane.
I know. But it's amazing because Murray should be the one that's the majority leader, not Schumer.
Well, that's a vote. That's an internal vote thing. Yeah.
It just shows
but
you.
Yeah, but Schumer's had 58 to 39. I mean, come on.
I appreciate that, but we're going through this, so I don't want to just talk about the hot Senate seats. I don't want to talk about other ones that are in.
Yeah, well, sure. Well, like I said, the squad's going back. Maxine Waters is going back. Pelosi's going back. Schiff's going back. Newsom's going back.
Well, that's what the polls say, right?
Well, that's it. They've been wrong before, and will they be accurate this time? Who knows?
Well, that's the interesting thing about tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The polls say a win for the Republicans. How big?
Yeah.
Like I said.
Yeah.
Is it a win, a wave, or a wasabi?
Yeah, or a trickle.
Maybe it'll be a wasabi wave with some real hot flavor.
Yeah, I don't think so. Pennsylvania, with the governor ahead, Oz has a minuscule lead, 49-5 to 48-5. 1 point. So there's 2 points in contention from other parties that may or may not flip. But I believe the governor is going to carry that one for Fetterman. And Fetterman also in Pennsylvania has the sympathy vote.
Well, we again, I don't think this is a sympathy election. I think it's a policy election. It's generational. I'm going with that. And the problem with this is it's going to take at least a week to find out who won because it's Philadelphia.
Yeah, we won't know it next Thursday when we see
Pennsylvania,
if we were right or wrong. Yeah,
it's a crooked state. I mean, whether it's it depends on how long Philadelphia takes to determine what the vote is. So and that's sort of sad because Pittsburgh's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
There's some major industrial centers in that state. It's it's second only to Texas as far as gas and oil, and being shut in by the Democrats. Again, I can't understand that the people of Pennsylvania, which they don't rurally, so that because of the oil industry. But more people go out and vote. That's going to be helpful. Number 2 is crime. Does Pennsylvania and the people of Philadelphia want to acknowledge that murder rate is worse than Chicago? Worse than Chicago. I mean, seriously. So you want anarchy? Great. Vote for Fetterman because that's and I don't know why Oz and the Republicans didn't just make that a campaign policy. All these Democrats are in favor of anarchy. If that's what you want, anarchy, vote for me. Because
Yeah.
I'm against it. I'm going to support the police. I'm going to support the law. I'm against anarchy, and that's what it should be. And then in these ads, they should have put stuff from all the the burning and looting and as much of it as they could. Just to remind people of what went on in 21. If you want another year of 21, vote for. Now, on the other hand, Americans might be thinking, "Oh my God, maybe we've got to vote Democrat so we don't have a year of rioting and mayhem because we voted Republican." That could be it too.
Well, that's what I think. If Republicans win, as much as you think they will, there will be riots in the street, and all of that will definitely be happening. So. Let's move to Georgia, Shane. That's a dead heat. That's a dead heat between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. I predict this will go to a runoff because there's only 1.5% of other people running around out there, and that may or may not give somebody 50%. But they got to have 50%. They'll have a runoff in December. If they have a runoff in December, Warnock wins. That's
December 6th. I'm going to say no, and I could be wrong, but the reason I say no is because I look at this with 1.5 million or over 1.5 million votes in early. I just see African American men voting for Warnock. I mean, give me a break. The guy is a hero. He's a hero in the state. I mean, the great thing about picking someone in politics is name recognition. And I'm impressed by this guy Walker, and I'll tell you why. When he first came in, and with the primary, and prior to the primary, May 24th, he clearly has had some instruction on speaking. Not that he's not intelligent; he's very intelligent and successful businessman. Yeah. But he didn't have that Obama flair. You remember that line when Obama was running for president back in I don't remember who said it, but for the first time we have this good-looking African man that can speak clearly, and he's really intelligent. Remember
that was Biden. Biden said he was clean and.
That's it. It was Biden. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Clean and.
Talk about Americans. Talk about Canadians must have a short memory too.
I just didn't want to say it.
All right, let me give you the bad news on Georgia.
Okay.
In July, they moved the All-Star game out of Georgia. Why? Voting laws. Every Democrat who can fog a mirror is going to challenge those voting laws, and they're going to turn out en masse in Georgia. Particularly if it's a runoff. So Warnock's in.
Okay.
That's my analysis.
That's why we're good. Yeah. I try to play the devil's advocate because I understand that. I don't have a dog in the fight.
Well, this is the voting laws. What makes Georgia different this time around than other elections? And this was what I think all the pundits on TV are missing. They're looking at it like it's a normal election. It's not.
Well, that's not exactly true. In 2020, they had the highest turnout of African Americans in the state, and in fact. Right now, the pre-vote of over 1.5 million, it's just ahead of 2020 by 200,000. So I don't agree with you.
And what did Stacey Abrams say back then? Voter suppression, I won.
Yeah, that's right. She refused to acknowledge that he won. Yeah, of course.
Right.
Well, Democrats for that.
Yeah, I understand that. The same thing will happen this time around, but
they're setting it up.
Is going to be there.
They
are. Of course they are.
A week ago. I mean, did you see that article in the Washington Post? I mean, the election machines aren't reliable and they can be hacked.
Of course.
I mean, come on, seriously?
Yeah.
They're setting this up for. I'm getting excited. Sorry.
Yeah.
And they know how bad this is going to be, so that they can claim that it was rigged. You know,
Well,
the
that's
Republicans cheated. This is
well,
good.
that's the problem, Shane. That Americans have lost confidence in our elections. They just
Well,
have.
that's because of the demolition party. I mean,
Well, it doesn't matter who the fault is.
well, of
It's
course it does.
well, it doesn't. If if we've lost confidence, what does the matter? Who's responsible? You
Because
know.
if the Democrats can't run your country, they can't rule. They want to destroy it. Okay, they want a civil war. They've done it before. They were successful doing it. It was horrific. And on and on and on. All through the 19th century, the Democratic Party. I mean, the KKK of the 29, the 32 election with FDR, and I mean, come on, 152 members of the Democratic Party were members, no, accepted members in the
Yeah.
House of Representatives of the KKK, and 16 Democrats senators. I mean, come on, like Bird, he was a
Yeah.
golden wizard. I mean, yeah, these people are bad, Tom. They've always been.
Well, as I say, I'll predict the Senate Republicans 52. We'll get to 2 seats, 48 to the Democrats, and between 218 and 225 for the House. That's my
Well,
prediction.
if that's your prediction, then that's a huge night on your side of the table for the Republicans. That's a limited possibility to what I see. I just see a real generational swing here,
Mhm.
and it'll
Yeah,
come down. A lot of it'll come down to millennials. I mean, the millennial generation, 85 to 2005. Both my daughters, born in 80, in the early 80s, but they're part of that generation,
Yeah.
or 65 to 85 rather, and
Yeah.
they're a bigger generation than us. We were 72 million, they're 73, so this is their vote. It's gonna The
Yeah.
millennials are gonna have a lot to say to this.
Yeah. Well, the Republicans theoretically, based on some models, could pick up 59 to 41, but boy, that's a real stretch. I'm more in the ballpark, I think, with the 221 to 220 or 51 to 52 seats in the Senate, and in the House, they're talking about 84 to 16. Um, I'm still going with 221 to 225 because that's where the odds are the highest to go into that area
Well, the other thing that's
for that.
this is a you know it's like the World Series, a walk-on 3-run homer, right? And they win.
Walk off home run.
Or walk off,
Yeah,
walk on,
yeah,
whatever. The guy walked on 2 bases, bam,
yeah.
over the fence, and they win.
It's over. Yeah.
That would be the
Mhm.
Republicans getting 61 seats,
Uh-huh.
and that would be the Republicans getting 2/3 majority in the House. Now you have the ultimate, and I'm not saying that's happening. No one's talked
Mhm.
about it, but we should mention it.
Yeah.
If the Republicans were like beyond belief, anybody got 61 seats in the Senate, now they can do anything, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
if
yeah.
they got 2/3 majority in the House as well, then they could overrule a Biden,
Yeah.
a
A
veto.
veto. Yeah, they could.
So
Yeah, they could overturn a veto.
that would, I mean, he's a dead duck president anyway, I think. But
Mhm.
now
Yeah.
he would die twice.
Yeah. Well, we want the Senate to get at least 51 or 52
Yeah.
because of the Supreme Court. You don't need Biden's to sign off on any Supreme Court judge. That's done by the Senate, and you're either in or you're out.
Well,
So
I don't see any judges at this point really retiring before the next election. I really don't.
well, I don't think there's going to be any retirements, but there could be deaths.
There
So
could be, but very
yeah,
slim.
I mean, you're talking about 80s, a couple of them. So
Yeah, well, come on.
that's where I am.
This is the 21st century. They say if you survive till 2025, you'll live over 100 years because of all.
Really? Wow.
That's what they're
Well,
saying. That's
all
what
right.
that's what all the medical reports and everything are saying. And
Okay. Well, the basic premise is that Republicans are slightly favored to win the Senate, and the Republicans are favored to win the House. So that's what it'll come down to. They may split the House and the Senate back and forth. Um,
Anything's possible, right?
yeah. Well, of course. Bruce thinks 300 seats in the House, 70 seats in the Senate.
There you go, buddy. He's my man.
Bruce is on it.
He's my man.
He's very optimistic. Thanks, Bruce, for that. All right, appreciate it. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up, Shane. Any final thoughts on these races? We've covered governors, senators,
No,
representatives.
I'm all in. You see me. I got my red shirt instead of my blue or white shirt, and I'm going to switch this for Thursdays. I'm going to start wearing this instead of a blue shirt now.
Okay.
I've been wearing a blue shirt on Thursdays because the Dems have had the House and Senate. Now I get to go to red.
Okay.
And white on Monday or white on Tuesdays will be, bipartisan.
Okay.
It's the Canadian.
Yeah.
The white shirt's the Canadian look.
Yeah. Well, when we come back on Thursday, we'll be able to tell, well, with the exception of probably Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona, and Washington.
Don't forget, everybody, bring a
and
candle.
Michigan and New York.
Yeah. Happy birthday to you.
No. I'll mute you.
Well, then they'll be able to read my lips. Everybody knows happy birthday.
No, I'll take you off the screen. I'll mute you and take you off. You're not singing to me.
Okay.
That ain't gonna happen.
I just did. So I'm ahead of you.
Well, you're not going to. That's as much as you get. That's the singing that's gonna be ended. So, but anyway, on Thursday we may not have any of the stuff. We may not have any results anywhere by the time this thing rolls around.
Oh no, we'll have results for the House, and
doubt it. Doubtful.
Huh?
Well, in the states that count, doubtful.
No, we'll know governorships in Florida and
well, yeah, but those states don't count.
Wisconsin, Texas, Oregon.
Those states don't count.
Yeah, we'll know who.
They don't count.
Of course they do.
No, they don't. Washington, we won't get anything out of Washington. We won't get anything out of Pennsylvania. We won't get anything out of Georgia. We won't get anything out of Arizona or Nevada. I mean, come on. Well, Thursday, we won't know what any of those races are. Trust me.
Okay. You say so, Eagle Man. I believe you.
All right. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to us. Hey, we picked up a lot of subscribers lately, and we really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for subscribing to us. We're on the verge of 500 subscribers, Shane. Right on the verge, man. So hit that subscribe button down in the lower right-hand corner of the screen or under the screen if you're watching this. If you're watching the replay of this, and
the merge of the verge, baby.
Yeah, and tell your friends, share this with them, and see if we're right on Thursday when we come back, and check it out. So, and if you'd like to support us monetarily, there is some cost involved in putting this on. We would appreciate that. There's a link in the description below for how you can do that. And if you'd like to make videos like Shane and I do in a professional, really high quality manner, make some money on YouTube, boy, we use Streamline. It's easy to use, and we would like for you to check that out. There's a free StreamYard. Yeah. Streamline. That's our bus stop here, or a bus line here. StreamYard.
That's what I'm heading for, a bus stop, buddy.
I'm heading for a bus stop. Yeah. So all right, thanks so much for being with us. Hey, we appreciate you guys so much, and thank you for being here. Don't forget to share this with your friends and let them know that we're here. And we will come back on Thursday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, to see how well or how badly we did. So we'll see you then.